Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mike is here. There's Garrett over there with the sweet beanie on and the
Howdy.
beautiful girl in the middle. That's Amy. Hi, Ames. How are you? Hi,
Hello.
Garrett. How you doing, girlfriend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm real good. Yeah, it's kind of a wild weekend. Did I hear correctly you were out feeding a pet deer? Do you have a pet deer?
I have I have a lot of deer, but there's
Yeah.
3 in particular. Right now, especially because it's hunting season, that I'm really keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
One of them is Tyson.
Okay.
He's huge.
Are
and he's
these
got,
wild
like,
deer? These are you don't own these
yes.
things like horse, right? These
No,
are
they're
just
like
wild.
they're in the woods behind my house. But I
Yeah.
have trail cams out there, so I see them, and
Oh.
obviously I've given them names and stuff.
Yeah, of course. Why
So
wouldn't you?
Right. One of them is Tyson. He's really big. He's not the biggest though. The biggest is Holyfield. He's huge. He's probably
Yeah.
like maybe a 10-point buck.
Oh yeah. Does he have the
But
hat
he's
on?
got
Does he wear his
yeah,
hat?
he's got a big hat on, and he has
Yeah.
messed up ears, which is why I
Oh.
named him Holyfield.
I was
And
going to
in
say,
my
wow,
mind,
that's hilarious. He's just like the real Holyfield. Okay.
yeah. So in my
Obviously.
mind, they battle it out for the woods.
It's probably
Because
what happened.
this is like prime spot right here, because
Yeah.
I feed them. There's no hunters because this is like a residential area. So there's a
No
ton
hunters,
of
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
this is where you want to be if you're a buck.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
in my
do you-
mind,
Well, do you remember the ones in my backyard ever when you were over? Do you remember
Yeah.
seeing, like, they were all over my yard, and some of them, like, I got into a stare off with it had to be a 10-point buck in my driveway, just standing there. I was like, dude, come on. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
pull in the driveway. He's like, I'll mosey when I'm ready. What are you gonna do about it? I'm like, yeah, not much. But dude,
Yes.
they're amazing. I miss them actually. Being out here in the desert. Like, I guess they're around, but I just don't see them. I have pigs
yeah,
now.
but you see
Wild
other cool
hogs.
shit, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, but creepy shit.
Yeah, like what?
Like-
Tell me.
Like
Your
the
roadkill is like tarantula and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like big
tarantula,
spiders. And it almost
like
looks like a squirrel.
spiders as big as your hand, no bullshit, and
No.
snakes. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I have pictures of these things. They're fucking huge. And the video I did the other day is of wild hogs, like in my yard.
Yes,
Just-
I saw that. Those were
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the yard.
Oh my God. They were on, like, one of them started walking up the driveway. That's why I was like, all right, bro. All right. And then
Now, are those
the next
type
day.
of wild hogs that people hunt?
Oh yeah.
You have to. They're invasive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Cece, the next day I took Cece out to take a whiz, and I'm walking, all of a sudden she goes, "Rrr," she goes darting out. She wants to play with him. She thinks, I'm like,
Yeah.
trying to teach this dog, like, yes, everything you ever met in Michigan was your buddy. Everything. Here, everything will fucking kill you. And
Yeah.
like trying to get that through the mind of a toddler, which is what she will forever
Yes.
be, is
Right.
really difficult. She has the
It
mind of a
is.
2-year-old. So like,
It is.
she's like, oh, friend, you look like a dog. I'm like, that's a fucking coyote, dude. That
Yeah.
thing will, you don't want to go running up and just like
But it looks
sniff
so
butts
much
with
like
that guy.
her.
Dude, they're so gorgeous too. They'll just be jogging down my street, just jogging on the street, and they're absolutely stunningly beautiful. But their teeth on them are like this. Like,
Yep.
you see them open their mouth and their teeth are massive. You're just like, oof.
But they're like tiny, right?
They're like CC size.
Yeah.
They're like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
They might be skinnier than that, but as far as like height goes, they're about a medium-sized dog.
Yeah.
And
Well,
those
I got to tell you,
pigs-
there's a third deer that is he's still out there. I'm looking at him right now, and his name is
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit. He's my favorite
Oh, hell
because
yeah.
All right.
when I saw him in the winter, and I posted a video of him, he's got a bum leg, and so
Yeah.
that's why I call him Limp Bizkit. And
Sure.
I was really concerned about him because he was really skinny, and people were like, "Oh my God, that deer is in like rough shape." And I told Rocky, I was like, if I could only feed Limp Bizkit, I would. Like, I just want to feed. I want to reserve all of my food for Limp Bizkit. But Limp
This is for
Bizkit
Amy.
has realized that I'm here for him, and he's the one that was just in my yard. So whenever I see Limp Bizkit, and he's like, he looks healthy. I mean, minus the bum leg.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about deer is when they have a bum leg, their opposite antler doesn't grow properly. So like when you see
Oh,
Limp
no
Bizkit,
kidding.
he's got just like a straight antler on one
No,
side,
he's got to balance
but then
out.
it like grows on the other side.
Really? Is his head tilted? Does he get weighted
Kinda,
down? I
yeah,
would think that would weigh
yeah.
him down.
And
a
so
little.
then I saw him with a doe earlier today when he was in my yard, and in
a
my
deer,
mind I was
a
like,
female deer.
a doe, a deer, a female deer, and in my
Okay.
mind I was like, Limp Bizkit got a chick. I was like super
Yeah.
happy about it, you know, like
Hell yeah.
even like
Limp Bizkit
the
gets all the
slow
chicks.
one of the woods got a chick.
Nice, good for him.
Yeah, This is
That's
good
great. Yeah,
days.
they're. What do you feed them? Do you actually go out there and feed them? Can you get that close?
No, I have like a feeder that's right in my backyard, but then I also have a feeder that's like deeper in the woods by the trail cam.
Yeah.
But it gets really expensive to feed deer, I've learned.
Yeah, I bet.
So I've just started throwing out like had like carrots and like celery and stuff that was going bad or whatever. But also they'll just eat like
Yeah.
squirrel food. Bird
Well,
food.
when I would go visit G before we moved here, he had a place that had a fenced yard, and so Shelby, his dog, would go out there and just run back and forth. And the coyotes knew she was there, and they're trying to coax Shelby out of the fence so they can get her, and she just fucks with them, and they just go back and forth. But the warden would be like, there's food's about to go bad, and she'd just toss it all into the wash, and so they So they just keep coming back. But now there's not a fence here, so it's like, you don't want to do that and egg them on. But yeah,
right.
they're
right.
awesome, man. They're so
That's
awesome.
fun.
We'll get to the Lions uno momento, but did you guys? I know Garrett, you did watch the Tyson Jake Paul fight Friday night.
Yep.
Did you watch that, Aim?
No, I fell asleep. I mean, I made every effort. My husband was watching it, but it was just too late for me.
Ridiculous.
Insane.
Like these events that start at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock, whatever, and it's like midnight and we're still not at the main event. Like for me, I swear to God, all I was doing, I'm like, gee, it is 10:30 now, meaning 12:30 back. I'm like,
Right.
this is so absurd. Like for me, it was 10 o'clock at night. It wasn't that big a deal.
Watched it in the morning.
Yeah. And I said to Rocky, because I was thinking about betting on it, and I was like, there's no way Tyson wins, right? But then in my mind, I was thinking like, do they just let him win? But then when I realized how late it started, I was like, this is like the Democrats throwing Joe Biden out at a 9 p.m. debate. It's like they threw Tyson out at midnight. This dude is almost 60. There was no chance he was going to win. Like not even a little.
Yeah. No. And the fact is, like, the chick fight was crazy. Like that chick's eyelid, I still am having nightmares about. By the way, if you're wondering, people that have listened to this show for a while, when I talked about Troy having the vagine hand when he sliced his hand open, it looked like her fucking eye.
Yeah.
Like it looked like you could bang that hole. Like that's how bad it was. That's what Troy's filleted hand looked like. And it was just like, I couldn't even watch the end of that fight. I'm like, oh my God, it's doing it again. Look at her head opening up. It looked like a fucking movie, man. It's just so gross. But that
just reminded you of periods. Bloody gash.
Yeah, it was just so nasty. Calling for a doctor, and they're like, yeah, doctor. I'm like, isn't there one just sitting there? Don't they have one right there? It just was crazy. But the Jake Paul Tyson thing was just kind of stupid. And watching after that second round, it was like, okay, he's 58 years old, and watching a 58-year-old try to be spry and like move around a ring, you're like, dude, this is just elder abuse. What are we doing?
It really is.
And there's no upside outside of just like, let's take $20 million each and fine. I get it. Like we all knew what it was.
Yeah.
But for Jake Paul, there's no upside. Either you knock out a legend, not a good idea, or you go the distance with a 58-year-old man. Like, how does that make you a badass boxer? Like,
it doesn't. It makes him a rich one.
Right. Like, I would think anybody's going, dude, you couldn't even knock out a 58-year-old man. What? We're supposed to take you seriously in this space? Really?
Right.
Like, I don't know. But I'm glad it was something to do on a Friday night, I suppose. But I swear to God, the whole night I was like, I was getting mad for people in Michigan. I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, this is
It's now
bullshit.
midnight. Come on.
Yeah, and it
Like-
sounds like the stream did not go well.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was shit out a lot.
Yeah.
It also sounds like Beyonce is performing at the football game that's going to be on Netflix on Christmas, which will also probably be a shit show.
Yeah, I would think they could get that together, man. I didn't have many problems. It went like that, just a little bit blurry. But all the people I saw, Drew was bitching like it was shutting off or something. People were getting black screen. I didn't experience any of that. I was waiting for that, but I didn't experience it. But just a little bit of blurriness here and there. But shows you how many people tuned in, I guess.
Yeah.
But-
I saw. Wait, is it Jake Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake Paul. He tweeted out something like, and it was someone who was streaming like a legal version. It was like someone streaming the Netflix version, like to their social media or whatever. But it went around so many times that his tweet was like, a bootleg version of my fight got more views than the NBA finals.
Pretty good.
That's hilarious. Yeah, shows you the state of the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. If the Lions keep playing like this, they could start breaking TVs.
Yeah.
Like, dude, is this the most incredible thing you've ever seen? Watching
It is, it's amazing. It's so much fun.
Like, who would have thought, like, oh, we're going to shatter all records that have ever existed for football as far as an offense go. Oh, and it's going to be the Detroit Lions doing it.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They're like legitimately so good. I mean, it's regardless of who you're playing, you're still playing
Yeah.
an
yeah.
NFL team. Okay. And like, it's not easy to win in the NFL. There's these guys that you're playing, even though they play for Jacksonville, are still the best of the best. So to be able to go out there and never have to punt, like 34 first downs.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I mean, it was like Jared Goff. I think I posted that Jordan meme from his documentary where he was like, and I took that personal. That's like how Jared Goff felt after the Houston game when he threw 5 interceptions. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back.
Yeah. It's like, for those of us that have been watching this franchise suck for decades, seeing good football, like one thing is you just don't put up 52 points on an NFL team. You just don't do it. Like that's like, even if you want to go, oh, well, they're playing an inferior team. Okay. In the NFL, like you're not supposed to be able to run up the score complete, like seeing an organization that from top to bottom is so well balanced and just clicking on all. So the only thing is the fear is like, oh my God, is it something that's happening too soon? And can you sustain?
Right.
Yeah. Can you
know
keep
what?
this
That's
up?
only what, you know what I've decided? That's only what people who are not used to winning think. Because I can promise you that Chiefs fans are not sitting around going, well, we're only going to be able to keep this up if, or we're peaking too soon, or, we're only going to be able to keep this up if we don't have any injuries. Like, no, their fans are so used to winning that they're like, we are going to be fucking good. So long as Patrick Mahomes is playing, we're going to be good. And I think that's how the Lions are. I've seen enough to say, I think they're going to be good regardless.
Yeah.
Like they're a good
They
team.
are. They're a very good team. And I don't even want to experiment with like, what happens if Goff goes down for a few weeks? Like, forget it. No. But Alex Anzalone breaking his forearm, it's like, they'll be okay.
Yeah. Next man
They'll
up.
be all right. Yeah. Next man up kind of mentality. The game plan is strong enough. They're good enough. These numbers, though, that I was looking at are just madness. This stat that we've seen a couple times this season of more touchdown passes than incompletions in a game is, when you think about it, it's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, honestly, it's insane.
I think Aaron Rodgers even said that on Pat McAfee show. He's like, what Jared Goff is doing is really fucking hard. Like, really hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And they just make it, when it's done right, it looks easy. But don't be fooled at all into thinking that. I'll go down some of these statistics from what's going on right now. It almost seems fitting that it's happening in Detroit, of like this historic franchise, right? An original, they've been around for 100+ years, have been historically bad since the 50s. And the fan base is there, sells out every week.
Yeah.
They're not
takes
selling
over stadiums.
over like,
yeah.
Even when they suck, their fans are there, living and dying by them. Bitch
And
about them.
There's not a. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've talked to a lot of people like outside of the state and stuff, and every single person to a man has been like, I am rooting for the Lions. Like there's that. I have said it before. This is obviously America's team because everybody wants the Lions to win. Like everybody's like, if not for my team, the Lions. There's people out there who hate the Chiefs because they hate the Taylor Swift thing, or they hate Patrick Mahomes, or they hate the kicker because he's Republican. Like,
the Kelsey thing. Kelsey,
or the Patriots. People hated Tom Brady. They hated but like universally, people love the Lions and they want them to win. And
you want to get to the point where they hate the Lions, though.
Yeah,
you do, because everybody wanted, the 0-2 Patriots or whatever to win. Like everybody's rooting for this Cinderella story of a 6th-round pick thrown into action. And
it's when you're a dynasty that they start to hate you.
Yeah, and that's where you want to get. You want to be the Cowboys, or, like everybody hates the Cowboys, or the 49ers, where historically, like, you're good for so long that people just despise you. Right. That would be amazing to get to that point. Detroit scored touchdowns on its first 6 drives, added a field goal after. The only series the offense didn't score was ended by taking knees. The Lions have 3 players who have 9 or more touchdowns through the first 10 games of the season: Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown. The only other team to ever do that was the 2013 Broncos. Jameson Williams now has 7 career TD receptions, all of them 30 yards or longer. J.J. Burden in 90-92 was the last player to do that. Sunday was the 8th game in which David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra all scored in the same game. Most time 3 teammates have ever done that in the history of the game. Like, the Lions became the 9th team in NFL history to rush for 100+ yards and a touchdown in each of the first 10 games. First team since the 75 Dolphins to do that. And keep in mind, after Barry retired, they went 19 games until James Stewart ran for 116 yards in a 2000 game versus the Cardinals.
I remember. And then it didn't happen again for like a real, like, up until Reggie Bush or somebody. Yeah. Okay.
Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Reggie Bush, Thanksgiving 2013 until Kerryon Johnson in October 2018. The Lions went 5 years without a 100-yard rusher. By the way, Kerryon Johnson in that game, October 21st, 2018, he rushed for exactly 101 yards. So he didn't blow the doors off, run for 175 and 4 touchdowns. No.
Barely got there.
It was, I don't remember exactly that game, but after 5 years without a 100-yard rusher, it was probably like, God damn it, hand it to him 20 times in a row.
I remember that so well.
Get over 100 yards. If we have to go 1 yard at a time and rush 100 times, get him over 100 yards.
Yes.
Let's see. With Detroit's defense became the 4th team in NFL history to allow 1 or fewer touchdown passes and then pick off 1 or more passes in each of their first 10 games. First team to do that since the 85 Eagles. With 3 rushing scores combined from Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, the Lions have now tallied a rushing touchdown in each of the last 24 games. That is the longest streak in NFL history.
Wow.
Like, not in a year. No, in the history of the fucking league.
It's crazy.
Jared Goff's 77.5% completion rate over his last 8 games, the highest across any 8-game span in the last 5 years. No, in NFL fucking history. In the history of this game. Jared Goff has now produced 5 games with a completion percentage over 80. He set the NFL record for most games in a season, completing 80% or more of his passes. Lions had 4 players surpass 95 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs. each surpassed this amount while also reaching the end zone. It was only the 5th time this has occurred in a single game in NFL history. For context, there's been over 19,000 games in NFL history. It's madness what you're watching right now as a Lions fan.
Incredible.
I hope people can truly understand what's going on. The last time the Lions had a winning streak of 8 games, 1934. 1934.
I almost feel like you can't even mention that.
I know.
Like who the fuck was alive then?
Jared Goff recorded a perfect passer rating for the 2nd time in his career. First time as a Lion, became only the 2nd quarterback to ever have a perfect passer rating for the Lions. Dave Craig did it in 1994. Goff is the 6th QB in NFL history to have multiple games with a perfect passer rating in his career. 6th. Think of all the quarterbacks that have played this damn game. It's insane.
That was also a scoregami yesterday.
What do you mean scoregami?
A score that has never happened before in the NFL.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
I want to say the Lions had a scoregami earlier in the season too. I think this is their 2nd game this season where they were part of a scoregami. And I also saw that that was Jacksonville's worst loss since their last worst loss, which also came to the Lions. So Jacksonville doesn't like us very much.
This team is on pace to, they're going to have road games this year, but what they're doing right now is just smashing through the wall of everything comes through Ford Field.
Yes.
And then they'll play in the Super Bowl, if that were the case, in a dome. And good luck. Good luck. Like, I don't see the team. I don't see it. I watch a lot of football. Good teams, bad teams. I don't see the system right now currently in the NFL that can beat that team if all things being equal. You like that team is not playing in the NFL right now.
Correct.
They're just not.
They are hands down. They can beat the Chiefs. They can beat the Bills. They can beat the Ravens. They can beat the Eagles.
The Bills and Ravens are interesting to me. Patrick Mahomes and that team doesn't scare me. I think Kansas City's more of a fraud than people say. Like, they just find a way to win. Yeah, in bullshit close games with some fluke ending. Cool. Like I'm not buying the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is a problem, and Lamar Jackson is a problem. They're difference makers. So is Patrick Mahomes, but I don't know that he has the talent around him right now.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is amazing. Josh Allen is incredible back there, and so is Lamar. Like they're freakish in their escapability and keep plays alive. Like you can have the best secondary in all of football. You can have the best safeties, which they do. It's not even close.
They play the Bills in a few weeks, so I guess we're going to see. That's going to be a great game.
Is that in
Buffalo? Detroit?
In Detroit, okay.
Which is huge.
Yeah. If it was if that was in Buffalo, that could be a different story. But those two guys are very special.
I feel like they need to get over the Ravens hump. Like they beat the Chiefs last year. If they could beat the Bills,
you mean the Lions. The Lions? Yeah,
they beat the Chiefs. I know it was game 1 last year, but still, they beat the Chiefs last year.
Yeah,
they could beat the Bills this year, but I think it was last year they played the Ravens, and that was a
did they get smoked in that game?
Smoked.
Yeah. I remember that my Niners ran into the same thing with them.
Yeah.
That was a big Monday night game towards the end of the year, and all the marbles and Purdy played like shit, had like 4 picks.
At least you have the Lions doing this well in a season when your Niners are not.
They're terrible.
Well.
I take great pride. I'm not proud of the fact that I'm always right, which I am, unfortunately, always fucking right. And eventually people are going to listen to me and believe me on some things. But I said literally during the Super Bowl last year, this is it. You either finish this game or it's over. And everyone's around me is like, are you crazy? They're just getting started. I was like, no, this is the window. It closes today. It closes on the Niners today. And then they're in a fucking rebuild, whether they want to admit it or not. And what's happened? The league is, every team runs the Kyle Shanahan West Coast offense, everyone. And so defenses know how to play it. They look like the slowest, most non-innovative sack of shit out there. They're a 5-5 team. that I struggle to even watch. You know,
Yeah.
I've watched every snap of the Lions and 49ers my whole life, every snap. And so I can't just walk away from the TV screen. I still have to just put myself through that misery, but they're horrible. They're
Yeah,
of
they're
no
not
threat
good.
to anybody.
Yeah.
This idea, like, living on your past success, but it shows you how quickly those windows open and close in this league. That's why it's
Yes.
like, don't fuck around, Detroit Lions.
Yes.
Know where you are. And the good thing
Yes.
is, I think they're built for that. They're built to, like, no one's getting ahead of their skis. I don't believe that from ownership to management, general manager down. I think they have the right voices in there, but this team is absolutely going to get cherry picked apart. They are. After this year,
Yes.
they're going to get cherry picked apart, and get a ring while you can.
Yeah.
Doesn't it suck as a diehard Tigers fan for you, Amy, that in those mid 2000s, it's like,
It's brutal. It is
it's brutal.
fucking brutal, Mike. Like, that is, I almost can't even handle it.
Yeah.
It upsets me so much that they did not get it done in 2012.
The Cardinals.
That was the Giants, I think. Cardinals
The
were
Giants,
06.
they got swept.
They got swept in 2012
against
by
the
the
Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my I hated that World Series because I'm a big Giants fan, and I thought I was going to love it. Hey, both my teams are here. May the best team win. No, it sucked. Every minute of that series sucked.
But I mean, that team, when you think about the starting lineup, and you had Verlander and Scherzer and Price and Porcello and Sanchez and like, it was so. You had Miggy and Martinez and Torrey Hunter and like. That team should have won. And when Mike Ilitch died, everybody knew his son is not going to give a fuck about the Tigers. And I wish he would just sell it, because that is like the most apparent thing ever. I mean, I saw something the other day that said that they essentially gave Skubal an embarrassing offer. After what he did last season. And like, when you didn't have a player on your team that made more than $1 million on your fucking playoff roster, you mean to tell me you can't pay Skubal? But don't worry, they're putting in a new like area behind home plate that you can go and like, it's like a VIP seating area. So don't worry though. The experience is going to be great if you have money, but they're not going to invest in the team. And it's so frustrating. It breaks my heart.
Yeah. I try to keep an open mind. Chris Ilitch tried to bang my girlfriend. So I try to like, hey, all's fair in love and war. I get it. She was hot. I tried to bang her too. So, but yeah, he invited her up to the owner's box but she invited me too. So it was like, hi, Marion. Hi, Chris.
Yeah.
And it was just like, fuck. So I don't want to hold that against him. I get it. I get the game.
There's plenty more to hold against him.
Right. But I want to be honest about it. I don't know enough, but that was embarrassing in that Astros series when that meme started going around about $19 million starting pitcher, 18.8 entire roster salary. And it was like, that can't be real.
Yeah. And the third highest paid player was Miggy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. Well,
the third highest paid player on your team is fucking retired.
Isn't on your team.
And the one above him is injured, Javi Baez. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
See, I didn't even realize Javi Baez was still on the team. It seems like a disaster since he got there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Honestly, that was their big fucking splash buy a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. The walls are starting to come down on so much. I'm so happy to see this, but to see the entire landscape of American sports, dude,
you love to see it.
I got to be honest, Amy, for probably the last 4 years and gotten worse for like 3 years ago and then 2 years ago and a year ago, like it was getting to the point where I was starting to feel like my country doesn't understand what it's doing. They're losing their country and they don't care, or they've bought this bullshit narrative, and damn it, I can't believe they're falling for this garbage. And not only is that not true, and the message they sent 2 weeks ago, almost now, so resounding, but seeing these guys come out of their shell and finally not afraid to go, yeah, go fuck yourself. It's incredible.
It's incredible.
It's
I was thinking when I
incredible.
was watching it, I was hearkening back to the old TDC days, like when early Trump, like covering
Yeah.
Trump early on. And like,
Yeah.
it was so taboo to like Donald Trump.
Oh my
like-
God, yeah.
He was so demonized. I mean, obviously he still is, but
Yeah.
like, this has to be the most incredible turnaround of anybody. And I think that it has to do with, and which is a really interesting dichotomy, because you've heard people talk about the celebrity endorsement and how it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's true on the left. I really do. But I think on the right, it means a lot, because it gives
It's
people
dangerous.
it gives
There's risk.
people, yes, and it gives people the opportunity to say it's okay. It's okay to say you're voting for Donald Trump. Joe Rogan's voting for him. Elon Musk is voting for him. RFK Jr. is part of his squad. It's okay to vote for him because other people are doing it too. And I think that it really goes a long way.
It was really important, the push that went on. The Rogan thing cannot be dismissed. Like,
Yeah.
changed, like, I'm not saying it changed votes, but it changed people's attitude. Like, I think it's very telling. I was listening to Rogan a couple weeks ago, like, I don't know, a week ago, and he was telling someone how I've been inundated with texts from celebrities going, thank you for doing that. I wasn't able to, which is sad.
Yep.
Which is sad. It's why I never put any stock in Robert De Niro. There's nothing rebellious or risky about taking the stage at the Oscars and going, fuck Donald Trump. Like,
Right.
you want to fucking show real balls, real fucking toughness, real, I don't give a shit what you think. Go up there and say that about Donald Trump. You couldn't
Right.
do it. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't
Right.
dare. There was
And I
no
mean, that-
risk.
That Trump interview with Rogan would not have been allowed on YouTube 4 years ago.
No.
So it
No.
you know, the pushback that they've gotten, and I think the way that Elon exposed everybody with the Twitter files has made YouTube go, okay, I guess the people want to hear it. Like, we'll throw this disclaimer down here. And I know that they censored it a little bit, but like, it wouldn't have even been allowed. I mean, Trump was kicked off of
everything.
If you posted something on Facebook, like an interview with him, you were like kicked off of there. Like, it was insane.
Yeah. And certainly if they didn't do that, it was shadow banned. And lots of people know what that felt like. Like, really?
Yeah.
This isn't getting any reach at all yet. Yeah, like it was really obvious. And the unfortunate thing, and the thing that scared me the most while it was happening in real time, was how many people weren't aware of it. How many people dismissed the Twitter files. The Twitter files should scare the shit out of all of you as Americans. That should terrify you. That, something as innocent as going, hey man, I'm hearing that's more of an experimental technology about this vaccine. I don't know that I'm comfortable just sticking that in my body, and they've got blanket immunity from lawsuits. What the fuck is that about? Banned.
Yeah.
Banned.
And it was the White House emailing them saying, take it down.
Take it down. Take it down. Half the country, if they were listening right now, wouldn't even be aware of this.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be aware of it. They're not interested in hearing that, which is
or it's
why
just a conspiracy theory, or they didn't actually do that. It was technically they sent it to this person, and then that person. Their famous thing is, we just suggested it. They didn't have to do it. Well, fuck off. I mean, fuck all the way off. When Joe Biden's office is essentially emailing you directly.
Yeah. Well, when they finally get their heads around that, then we can explain to them all the other things they were lied to about over the last 9 years.
Yeah.
Right? 9 straight years of this shit. And I've got stories here that'll point out the realities of that and why that's so dangerous. But going back to the celebrations by NFL players. So CBS is taking shit now. Fans are pissed. And I'm glad they're vocalizing this stuff. Like, you want to promote these guys, hey, they all have individual voices, yet we're going to plaster fucking BLM stickers all over them.
Right.
And act like, oh yeah, this is just the narrative.
Yeah.
This is what all these guys support. Well, then guess what? When they decide to do their own fucking Trump dance in the end zone, you can't wait to show us their celebrations. Even the dumb shit those guys, I'm rowing a boat in the end zone.
Yeah.
Every dumb celebration these guys do is worthy of tweets and promotion and being highlighted by this league. Yet, oh wow, CBS thought they were just going to cut off Bowers when he did his Trump dance yesterday, and viewers picked up on it, and they were like, cutting out the Trump celebration. Wow, this is why CBS is a joke. Hey, why did you edit out the Trump dance? Another asked. A third says, CBS, this is why he won. You're part of the problem. Review your code of ethics. Another says, you clowns edited out the Trump dance TD celebration. Laughing my ass off. Yeah. And by the way, do you think Nick Bosa would have been fined by the league for if he threw on a fucking Kamala for president hat in an interview?
Of course not.
Of course not. Of course there's a rule in the league like, hey, no political statements. We've seen them make political statements forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of them. Don't give me this shit. You're fining these guys.
They lift every voice and sing before the games. Like when you go live to a game, they play that pretty early on, like the Black National Anthem, as it was called back in 2020. So like they still do that. Yeah. So like, to act like we have to do that, but we can't watch some people do this. And as if I needed a reason to love Zadarius Smith more, he did it in the Lions game.
Know. Dude, Drake University did it. West Virginia did it. Texas Longhorns versus the Gators, it broke out. Tennessee Titans, Calvin Ridley. UTSA versus Texas. Lions, Raiders, 49ers game in San Francisco.
Love it.
Breaking out. John Jones in his fight.
John Jones. Yeah, that one was.
That
was like seconds after he knocked that dude out.
Yeah. And then
that's how he celebrated a knockout is with this dance.
Yeah. Hilarious. It's good to see, and to the NFL, it's not lost on us. If you were stumping for their bullshit, fake virtue signal narrative that they've been shoving down our throats for years now, taking a knee during the anthem, they couldn't wait to show that off and stand behind that horse shit. BLM sticking that shit on their helmets. Stop hate. I know what you're doing with stop hate. Yeah. End racism. It takes all of us. All that shit. What takes all of us? To end systemic racism is what they mean.
Right.
That's what they mean when they say that. Stop hate. Well, you're never going to stop hate. We're human beings. What do you mean?
Right.
And end racism? Are you kidding me? Your message is to end racism. Okay. How are you going about changing 8 billion hearts and minds? Explain this slowly for the stupid ones of us. How exactly? So what are you?
My favorite is the celebrities who think that like, if we all get together and make this really fun Zoom video, we are going to end racism
from our mansions. Yeah,
like imagine being like that. Honestly, I can't even. None of them had the wherewithal to go. Is this coming off right?
Yeah.
Then nobody has like a sane thought in their brain. Like one of my friends would be like, you guys, this is really fucking embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure they would. So would mine. You wouldn't do it because it wouldn't be authentic.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like authenticity
we'd
works.
Start laughing.
So the thing about the Trump dance and why this isn't a political statement I mean, it is, but that they're making. But so when players go grassroots or rogue, off message, you mean being authentic to themselves and their expression of self? That now we can't show it on TV. We need to threaten to fine. Got it. You are the problem, CBS, and your players.
And you know, the Lions did something similar. Do you have that story in front of you too?
No.
And I'm trying not to subscribe bad intentions to it because I haven't gone back to see how the other videos have been in the past. But every week, they'll usually, as the player who does something good in the game is walking down the tunnel, someone from the social media team will show them the play and have them react to it. And then they do like a split screen that they post on social media of the player watching the play, reacting to it. And then they show you the play in the corner on the other split screen.
Yeah.
So they do this every week. Like they did it last week with the kicker. This week it was.
Is this in the stadium or is this?
Yeah. As the players are walking out back to the locker room through the tunnel after the game, they're like grabbing them and showing them the play to have them react.
Oh, that's cool. That's
so cool. So it's like a segment that they do every week. But this week they cut his celebration off.
Zadarius Smith
When they were showing the split screen. When they were showing the split screen of the actual play, they cut that part out of it. And so I would like to go back to it and see if when they're showing it to everybody else, do they include their celebrations? I have to imagine they probably do.
Yeah.
Like I would think that they're showing Amon-Ra his celebrations because they want him to be like, oh, this is what I was thinking and blah, blah, blah. Right. So like.
Dude, Amon-Ra's fucking headstand is
that was so impressive.
Funniest shit I've ever seen. Like that is the coolest celebration. Like of all the dumb, it's like I immediately think, ugh, you guys practice this.
Right. Yeah.
Like when they all do a hand dance and then a fucking, it's like, ugh, you guys as grown-ass men practice this at work yesterday. Oh, it's
at
so
work.
Fucking cringe.
Yeah.
You were at work doing this. Like
you got paid millions of dollars to do
Yeah. I remember girls in middle school working on their cheer shit, between classes. That's what it like.
They're making up TikTok dances at practice.
You're making TikTok dances and cool little hand slappy things. Like, ugh, it's so cringe. But Amon-Ra's. So when I see 6 guys all jump in and roll the boat together, I'm like, ugh, you guys practice this at work.
Yeah,
gross.
Right.
It's so cringe. And then we all got to pretend like, oh my God, that was so cool. Look at them all. They're rowing the boat. And you're like, ugh. But dude, Amon-Ra's headstand with his arms at his side was the dopest thing it's the coolest celebration I've ever seen.
And just seeing like
straight up. And it's like, no, I can't do that. Right. I can't do that. Like these guys are such exceptional athletes that they can do stuff like that and pull that off. Dude, I'm seeing it going around Facebook. They're selling that as an ornament now to hang on your tree.
That's awesome.
Dude,
and
it's
the
coolest
Lions
ornament.
social media team, like we have to hope that they keep one loss the entire season because that's how the social media team, when they post the score, the one loss is him doing that headstand.
Love it. Can't get enough of it. Brilliant. It's so funny. I'm
going on Thanksgiving. I'm super excited.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one game I liked going to. Drew and Riley would get a suite at Thanksgiving, and we'd do Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
In a suite. It was awesome every year. And it was so fun. That was like the one game where it was like, yeah, let's go to the Thanksgiving game.
Yeah.
We did that for years.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. How, like, honestly, even me who really doesn't like going to these stadiums, unless it's a big game.
Right.
I just don't like. I went to I think it was Sunday Night Football, like week 14, Niners Packers when Rodgers was there. Me and Tooch and Troy went to one of those.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, it's a huge game, Sunday Night Football. I went and saw Tom Brady with the Buccaneers play the Cardinals here on Christmas night. Like one of those where it's like, okay, that's
marquee
cool.
Games. Yeah.
Marquee thing. Like, okay, I'll go to Monday Night Football. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Dude, right now going to just a random Lions game, the shit they're doing, seeing what they're doing in that stadium, the innovation in plays, like I guarantee you're going to see something you've never seen before in a football game.
They
You
just want to
are.
put on a show. And especially on Thanksgiving, it's on national TV. Like they're going to, especially their
Yeah.
last national TV game was the Houston game. They're going to show out against the Bears. I have a feeling.
I hope they do. I hope they curb stomp the
Isis
Bears,
is
honestly.
going to the Colts game.
Is he? Is that next?
Next
Is that
weekend,
the next
yeah.
Yeah. Him and his dad.
I think he might be going with Chubbs, actually.
Chubbs? All
Yeah, I
right.
think he's going with
All
Chubbs.
right.
Yeah.
Steering away from football, and I want to be clear that a lot of the conversation, I've had a lot of people say to me like, the show's gotten too political. I would say I don't feel like when we're doing this show, like leading up to the election, there was plenty in, you knew which way we were going. I don't feel like it's a political discussion though, so much of the time. It's more cultural. And I've covered the same cultural things that I've always covered. And basically my hang up and what I will continue to point out is the bullshit narratives that are thrown at people that just are operating in good faith, hardworking people that don't have time to parse through the reality of stuff. And you count on a media to bring that to you. I think that was what was so important about Trump going on Rogan, for instance, like being able to discuss a lot of this stuff for people helped. I've had multiple people tell me when I got into the voting booth, and if you tell anyone, I'll fucking kill you. I voted for Trump. And if my husband finds out, if my wife finds out, I've had multiple people and I'm like, what did it? And it was like, I listened enough to you to understand. The wall started to come down about what was going on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. When I got in that booth, I just couldn't do it. So I'm nobody. And it was important enough, at least in a few examples, that people would have just been going about their lives, not paying attention, and they would have just heard a flyover of, this guy's Hitler, racist, sexist, rapist.
Yeah.
That's all they would have gotten. And it's not fair to them.
Right.
So it was important, it's important. These stories matter. The one that's coming out now, you're going to hear attacks on Pete Hegseth. You're going to hear people attacking Tulsi Gabbard as some Russian spy. Like, fuck off. I don't think this stuff's going to work. No. The Pete Hegseth one is important. I don't know where you land on Pete Hegseth. I'm sure you've seen the latest story.
Oh, which one? Did it come out today? Because I haven't been paying much attention today. I mean, I've seen like the general thing. He doesn't want women in combat, yada, yada, yada. I've seen all that, but
okay, debate him on that talking point. I'll wait, because you're not going to do well if you debate him on that. The studies have been done about his larger point, but if you want to just act 100%. Like it's sexist, then go ahead. They've done the studies about what this does in these battalions, what this does in these situations, and that's what he's referencing. But no, there's a sexual assault claim. And these ones are very troubling to me, because I always put it in the context of our lives, just innocent people that are listening to this, or me, or you, or Garrett, or anybody else. And I'm like, well, if they can go after these people, like, I know we're all flawed human beings. We've all said something we regret. We all have behaved in a way that we wish we could take back. Like, that's all of us. And, this idea that, someone said something about someone I don't like their politics, so it must be true.
Right.
Like, that has to stop.
Right.
It has to stop in this country. At no point do I think it's okay to go, 45 years ago, so-and-so did something to me. And, well, if that's not guilty, I don't know what is.
Right.
Like, well, that used to not just be, we don't get to throw people's livelihoods, careers away on something like that.
Right.
Call me crazy. So the Pete Hegseth one, some chick signed a non-disclosure, which of course means we get to hear about it now, because non-disclosures don't mean shit anymore. Whether Pete acted inappropriately, I have no idea. I wasn't there, neither were you. So I'm not going to say he's innocent or guilty of anything because I don't know. I know he came to an agreement with some broad. I can see this playing out in real people's lives, though, and I'll tell you what happened. So Hegseth's attorney Timothy Parlator said that Hegseth was visibly intoxicated at the time of this incident, maintained that police were contacted a few days after this encounter by the woman, concluded that the complainant had been the aggressor in the encounter. Hegseth agreed to pay an undisclosed amount to the woman because he feared that this revelation of the matter would result in his termination from Fox. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're in a position where you bang the wrong chick, right? You bang some chick, maybe she's married, maybe you're whatever, and you can make that go away for $50,000 and you're making millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
You write the fucking check.
100%. 100%. And like that, we either have to decide as a society that we accept NDAs or we don't, because we can't just be cool with NDAs. Like, you have no idea how much this happens. Famous people, athletes, politicians, businessmen, businesswomen. Like, this is a thing that happens if you have power. So if you're going to sit here and say, hey, that's fine. If you want to do an NDA and if you want to pay someone off, that's fine. But it exempts you from running for public office. Well, then let's decide on that as a society. But like, to say, okay, we're cool with you doing these NDAs, but the second that you come into public office, that is going to be made public. And, you know, it's not like.
It's going to be the weapon used against you.
But like, why? We were cool with it before he was a public figure, but now we're not. Like, that is so. He is using a legal mechanism that everyday people use for a variety of different things.
Right.
So to try and use it against him, so long as this woman was not forced to sign it with a gun to her head. Yeah. I don't see an issue with it. What's the deal? Here's how they're I've noticed this over the last few years, what you're seeing, because you can violate an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. You can be held like, well, now you need to return the fucking $1 million back. Now you owe it because of this. So these things are getting out through mutual friends. And it's like, oh, wasn't me. I don't know. And that's this one. A memo from a friend was released. And so it's like, okay, it's having the same sort of effect. Statement came after a detailed memo was sent to the Trump transition team this week by a woman who said she's a friend of the accuser. The memo alleged he raped the then 30-year-old conservative group staffer in his room after drinking in a hotel bar. The accuser allegedly told police she was sexually assaulted days after this encounter back in 2017 in Monterey, California. But the local district attorney did not bring charges. Police investigated after she threatened litigation in 2020. Hegseth made the payment and she signed the non-disclosure. Trump has stood behind Hegseth. Yeah, I bet he does, because he's been through so many of these bullshit. He got indicted for doing that.
Yeah, he got indicted for Stormy Daniels, paying off a whore, which was just like, I mean, you got to think 15 years ago that it was like, oh, you want to run for office? Okay. How many checks do we have to write? How many bitches do we need to shut up? Like,
that's still what happens. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So we're only writing 3 checks to shut bitches up. That's all. Okay. This is going to be easy. You were a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. To clean rise to power.
Yeah.
Stephen Chung said this week, President Trump is nominating high caliber, extremely qualified candidates to serve his administration. Hegseth has vigorously denied any and all accusations, and no charges were filed. We look forward to his confirmation.
Yeah.
So the memo from someone who said she's a friend of the woman who was present and involved in this case tell drastically different stories about what happened 7 years ago at the Hyatt Regency Monterey Hotel and Spa. Although both sides agree that Hegseth had a sexual encounter with the woman there, Hegseth, his wife had filed for divorce a month earlier, so he's newly on the market.
Yeah, he's getting out there.
He's getting out there.
What dudes do.
He's on TV nationally, good-looking guy, veteran. Yeah, He's on TV. Everything's falling into line. I could see how this plays out.
Yeah.
He traveled to Monterey to speak to a California Federation of Republican Women conference. Afterwards, he went to the hotel bar with a group of attendees. Jane Doe was there. It's always the Doe family. Always. These fucking Does can't stay out of trouble.
Fucking Doe family. They are honest to God.
They are either the unluckiest family in the history of families or just the dumbest. These poor Does. So the woman was staying
into that family.
The woman was staying at the hotel with her small children and her husband. One of her responsibilities at the conference
now it's all making sense, Mike.
Are you seeing?
You should have led with that. You should have led with that.
Yeah, did I bury the lead there? Yeah, are things starting to fall into place?
Jesus fuck, I hate people.
I
hate people.
So one of her responsibilities was to make sure Hegseth made it back to his room and left in time the next morning for the 90-minute drive to the airport. This is also a common move. When you're dealing with someone who has to be on TV or a microphone at a certain time, and there's other people that are there, it's common to have someone like, hey, your job is to get up before them and knock on fucking doors. The famous tapes we would air of Screaming Scott calling all of us in the morning, doing the overnight shift, and Clark obviously were the best ones, but Scott would call a lot of us, be like, time to get up, guys. Like, how many of you are getting wake up calls from coworkers? Because but this is common. Like, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. We need to make sure that guy's on this 9 o'clock flight so he can be on the air at 4 o'clock this afternoon, back in fucking New York City.
And hey, why don't you send the hot chick instead of the nerdy conservative dude?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like such a no-brainer.
Yeah. At some point in the evening, Ms. Doe received a text from two women at the bar who said that Hegseth was getting a little pushy about his interest in taking them upstairs to his room. Who knows what that means? That could mean a lot of things. So she came over, talked to those two women, and after they left, she remembered sensing that Hegseth was irritated. What happened next is in dispute. Ms. Doe doesn't remember anything until she was in Hegseth's hotel room and then stumbling to find her own hotel room.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what does that mean? Hegseth just like sprinkled some shit in her drink and marched her upstairs?
Sounds like.
That's kind of convenient though, when you just can't just plumb forgot what happened.
I can't remember. But I do know I was sexually assaulted. That much I do know.
That I remember.
I can't remember anything else, but I know I was sexually assaulted.
I remember walking down, just being a good Samaritan, walking down to the bar, and then I remember stumbling out in some sort of walk of shame from his room. That's as far as my memory goes. So her memory of 6 to 9 hours was very hazy.
Yeah.
And that her husband was searching for her and relieved when she finally showed up.
I bet
there's more to that side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking out loud,
Yeah.
Again, neither of us were there, Amy, so we can't say for sure. The following day, the woman returned home and had a moment of hazy memory of being raped the night before and had a panic attack. I would say it was more likely that
she had a panic attack.
Yeah. But the panic attack wasn't, I remember being raped, but oh, fuck, I cheated on my husband last night.
And he knows.
Yeah. And he's not buying that I just plumb forgot what happened for 6 to 9 hours.
I was going to say, you said 6 to 9 hours. See, I just looked it up. GHB only lasts about 3 to 6 hours.
Oh.
There you go.
Maybe he triple spiked it.
Possible. Who knows?
Yeah. So some of this story is when you're talking about, reasonable doubt, being the standard.
Let me tell you what really happened.
Yeah.
She got super drunk, went back to Pete Hegseth's room, woke up super early and went, oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Okay, I got to go back to my room. And then all day, the husband was like, where the fuck were you?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. Where were you? Give me your phone. I'm going to go through your phone. I'm going to call your friends. Where were you? I have a feeling you were here, blah, blah, blah. And then she has this moment of, well, if I say I was sexually assaulted, that's going to get me out of this. And I'm the victim. So she says
Yep.
that, and then the husband says, well, you got to report it. And she's thinking, like, I mean, I can't report it because it didn't happen. And so she says, better, I've got something better. Let's get some money out of this. I'll go to
Yeah.
him instead of pressing charges for this fake rape that I know will go nowhere. I will go to him. We'll get some money for an NDA, and boom. And that's how that went.
And then there's this, like, I told you, honey, I was assaulted. And you know it's true because he paid me.
100%.
He paid
100%.
me.
Yeah.
And the husband is
you know what's yes. And like, I'd much rather, honey, you'd rather us get money than me have to go through this whole big thing of going through a trial and reliving my trauma and yada yada yada, you know. Yeah.
She did go to the emergency room, and an examination was positive for seminal fluid. I don't know if that was in her ass, mouth, or vagina. I don't ask.
Yeah,
I don't
that does
know.
usually happen when you have consensual sex as well.
Yes. The woman gave authorities a statement. Hegseth encountered the woman at the party at the bar and said that she went with him to his room afterwards. Witnesses stated that Mr. Hegseth was visibly intoxicated. Again, not against the law. I believe he's over 21.
Mhm.
But the complainant was not, as she led him by the arm to his hotel room.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
The video surveillance confirmed the two were walking with arms locked together and that she was smiling. Oops.
Yeah.
So the visual of him maybe drugging or getting this blown out drunk woman and dragging her up the fucking stairs to his room, that narrative kind of falls apart. As he's all fucked up and she's apparently not.
Right.
And she's the one guiding him to the room, smiling, laughing the whole way. Once the two were in his hotel room, the woman did not leave and was the aggressor in initiating sexual contact. After the encounter, the woman expressed concern because, did you read this in advance?
Uh-oh.
Because she had not gone back to her room. Yeah. Again, you mean where those pesky kids and husband were hanging out? Yeah.
Oh my God.
The medical examination of the woman produced zero evidence that the sexual contact was non-consensual. The police investigation found no evidence to support charging Hegseth. The woman's friend said no charges were brought because the woman could not recall all the details. It became he said, she said. Hegseth strongly felt that he was the victim of blackmail and innocent collateral damage in a lie that the complainant was holding on to keep her marriage intact. Knowing that it was the height of the Me Too movement as well, he decided to just settle with this broad for a very reduced amount of money.
Yep.
Boy, did I call that.
Yeah. This is the problem now. Now, the real world consequences of this are now we have to debate of, can we have someone with morally defunct, possible rapist, possible, in charge of blah, blah, blah. They're using this as a weapon, which we see them do continuously. This sort of behavior needs to stop being rewarded with fake show trials and dragging people's name. This is why you get shitty people running for office.
Yeah. And it's so insulting to people who have actually experienced something traumatic like that. It's like so fucking insulting. Like legitimately.
Yes.
And like, and also twofold, because I mean, just as thankfully that has never happened to me, but obviously, it happened to somebody close to me. And
absolutely.
It even changes. I mean, that changed how I thought. And so it gives me pause, albeit I was always going to vote for Trump. And I don't think Trump ever sexually assaulted anybody, but I'm never going to vote for somebody who has done that. Like, just FYI,
Right.
like they say Trump was on Epstein's plane. If he was, I want to know, and fuck that guy. And he should be buried in the jail along with everybody else. But like, when you throw this fake stuff out there, then you're left having to defend why you're voting for a rapist.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not. And it just automatically gives this, like, I don't know. That's such a serious allegation that when you falsely accuse someone, it has so many repercussions. I fucking hate it. I hate that people do that. The Me Too movement was so stupid because you know what? Women, if you're listening to this, go to the fucking police. Go to
Yeah.
the police. Go.
Yeah.
If something truly happened to you, do not take
Sure.
money. Go to the police. Because
Yep.
the second you take money and you don't report it, your credibility is shot. And I would hate for that to happen to somebody who was legitimately sexually assaulted.
Yeah. And people are sexually assaulted. You know,
Yeah.
you look at what happened to Lake and Riley, for instance. Like, that's what I think when I think of someone was violent rape.
Yeah.
I think of Lake and Riley, right?
Yeah.
Who was
Actually, I don't know if he ended up raping her or not.
yeah,
That's kind
that
of
might-
up in the air. And I think that they might be dropping that charge. He definitely killed her. But
yeah.
she fought back so much. I think he killed her before he was successful in that. I'm
Right.
not totally positive. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right. But there are examples of that, of,
Well, yeah.
of women going for a jog in the park at dusk or early in the morning before the daylight comes up, or even in broad daylight, and being literally attacked by some
Mhm.
fucking animal.
Yeah.
You know, these
They're
ones
walking amongst
though,
us.
how many of us have made bad decisions, right? You know, now there are people that we have all made regrettable decisions, especially you throw drugs, alcohol in the mix.
Yeah.
We've all been guilty of doing stuff where it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, I cheated on a girlfriend. I cheated,
Yeah.
like stuff like whatever. And some people have open marriages. It doesn't like
Right.
there's a whole spectrum. But when you start going down this road, the Me Too movement, I think, was more destructive than it was positive, because it
Yes.
gave blanket cover to people that just made bad decisions and wanted a
Yeah.
fucking free way out.
Yep.
And it's like, you know, the Pete Hegseth one, I can totally see happening. I've seen it happen to people
Yeah.
that I know. I remember, you know, I had a buddy that played for the Lions, and I remember he banged some fucking chick, you know, up at training camp. And what do you know? 3 weeks later, she comes back with a fake pregnancy,
Mhm.
extorting him for $10,000. And he was just like, just make this bitch go away. It was
Yeah,
for
of
an
course.
abortion. And he
Yeah.
absolutely paid her because he had the means, and he was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it was just a drunken night at Hooters. I ended up fucking the waitress, whatever. Give her the money and fuck off. And then her friends, I remember being out one night coming up going, you know, that was all bullshit, right? She needed money, and she knew you were an
Yeah.
easy mark. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, dude, I'd want to fucking kill her. And he's like, who cares? Who
Right.
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
Like, he was just used to it. He knew these guys are coached on this stuff. So this idea of believe all women, like, go fuck yourself. No,
Mm-mm.
I know women who have played the system a little bit, gamed the system a little bit to get close to this or that. Like, I will believe all women when you can prove all women aren't sometimes full of shit. But the
And
fact
we need to
is,
start punishing people who falsely report these things too.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I you know, and when you read these stories, like, I don't know what that is. If it's a victim mentality that people
Yes.
are living on, that they're trying to get away with.
We've made it so, like, we've rewarded victims so much in our current society.
Yeah.
Marginalized communities, you know, that's why it's like, oh, I'm non-binary or what the fuck ever, you know, and it's like you're just want to be part of this marginalized community, but you're not actually really a part of it because you're
Right.
You're
Just
making up what you are.
exactly like
You're finding a reason to fit in the community.
Pocahontas is the
Right.
best example ever.
100%. Like we've put that up on a pedestal so much that being the victim is like that's where
Yeah.
it's at.
Well, I'll give you a list of victims in a moment here. If I don't do these reads, people are literally going to kill me. So give me uno momento. And I was shocked. Forey texted me. I had no idea. They watched this show live at the bar. I don't know how you people do it. So if you
Wow.
guys are there watching, hi. That's insane to me with some of the shit that comes out of the mouths on this show. I don't know how you have that up at a bar somewhere, but God bless you.
I just have in my head, just don't say slur, don't say slur, don't say slur.
Yeah, but we
Yeah,
do.
seriously.
Oh, but I do. You do. Like,
Okay,
I
fuck.
literally call you a fag most days.
Every time.
At some point.
It's a term of endearment.
So yeah, it is. I know what I mean when I say that. There's nothing vicious about it. There's no attack there. It's absolute love. But
I got called
you know,
a fag in the most creative way possible today, and I'm very proud of it.
yeah.
My coworker
Quickly,
pulled up really
so
quick.
so I don't forget to do my read.
Nope, you're good. Coworker pulled up really fast in the truck, rolls down the window. He said, "You didn't come out of the closet. You came out of a box, and you whipped a box out of the window of the truck at me and sped off." I looked at the box. It just said "fag bearings."
Wow,
Perfect.
that's
Fucking
not bad.
perfect.
That's not bad. Give it up for creativity.
Yeah.
The Deer Lake Athletic Club offers full gym, fitness classes, 3 pools, swim lessons, tennis, pickleball, and more. Backcourt restaurant inside the Deer Lake Athletic Club, where they may be watching this right now, has weekly specials like Taco Tuesday, that's tomorrow, kids meals for $5 on Thursdays, live entertainment Fridays and Saturdays. Now they're open on Sundays at 10 a.m. for breakfast and football all day. What better time to be going to watch football
I'll
than
tell you.
now with a real team? Book your holiday party before December 1st in their banquet center for a special offer. Call 248-625-8686 for more info, or stop in at 6167 White Lake Road in Clarkston, or you can check out their website, deerlakeathletic.com. Also, this part of the show is brought to you by your insurance expert. Are you paying too much for health insurance? Are you uninsured? Health insurance can be confusing. Nick Matthews from Your Insurance Expert is an expert in health insurance. He certainly is. Life insurance, Medicare supplements. He's an expert, so you don't have to be. Call Nick at 248-914-1173. And Nick, I do need to talk to you. I got one of the sweetest messages from someone you've helped out. Maybe I'll read that tomorrow to everybody about how unbelievable Nick is, how helpful, how knowledgeable, all that stuff. Use the promo code TDC if you're at MyPillow. I think we're legally allowed to shop at MyPillow again.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I think they're still basically giving away those pillows. And that dude hooks me up better than anyone I've ever worked with as far as the money. Like what Mike Lindell, the deal, he was like, take it. Basically every fucking thing, it just goes to me. He just gives it to me. He doesn't give a fuck. So
I have a friend
promo code
who's,
TDC.
Oh, go ahead. I have a friend whose baby is obsessed with Mike Lindell's voice.
Yeah.
Like if Mike Lindell commercial comes on, that baby just stops and just stares at the screen until his voice is done. And then it's like, okay, back to what I was doing. And that's the only time that he does that.
Yeah, we need to have Mike do a video for her.
Oh my God.
Like seriously.
He would
just do a personal. You mentioned this to me and I literally was emailing with Dawn yesterday. So I need
I'll get you this. Yeah.
If you get me the information and tell me the story, I'll get it to her and
Can we
see if
get Mike Lindell reading a good night book? That might help a lot.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm trying to get him back on. I'm trying to get him back on. You know,
nice.
Good luck.
So hopefully we'll hear from Mike Lindell. Dawn is working on that for me. Yeah, maybe you could be here if we get him back on. I'll have to have you here. Yeah, you'd love it. He's awesome. I mean, you guys have heard him before. Yeah. I know some people don't like the way he voted, so apparently he's
fuck off.
No, it's how he denied the election. That's what it was.
Oh yeah,
Could be questioned.
Sure, can't do that anymore.
Yeah, know how sincere you are there. Yeah,
no, you can do that again.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're back to being able to do that. Just ask Pennsylvania.
It's like an every other type of thing.
Yeah.
So 2016 you could question. 2020 you can't. 2024 you can.
You can again.
So
yeah.
2002 you could. Yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah. So actually the Outlander was 2020. That was the only one where I think it's criminally chargeable.
Not good to question that one.
Yeah. Not good.
Hey, Trump's going to pardon all these Jan Sixers, right?
I sure as shit.
I hope so.
I mean, the ones who didn't do anything too serious.
Yeah. They're still sentencing people today.
Even then, though,
they just arrested
people.
A Detroit Lion, an ex-Detroit Lion was arrested the other day.
Yeah.
See, that's one of those things too, where it's like,
go ahead.
Not like the level of damage caused to the place has already been repaired. So I don't know why they have these people still in there. They just pardon them all.
Yeah,
insane.
You can educate yourself out there. There's documentaries that have been done about what exactly transpired on January 6th of 2021. And it's eye-opening and shocking how that went down. Some of the comments from Nancy Pelosi, her daughter.
Happened to have a camera crew there.
Yeah. It's crazy how that all went down. I don't want to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole and turn off more people, but trust me, you were gaslit and bullshitted over that.
Oh, for sure. Did you ever watch Tucker Carlson's show?
I have not enough though. I love Tucker.
Okay.
He's
You
great.
need to go on YouTube, and I want to say, I feel like it was before the election, so it was a couple weeks ago. He had on Rob Blagojevich, the
Yeah,
old
Chicago
Chicago mayor.
Mhm.
Was he mayor?
governor. Was he governor?
Governor.
Lavoie?
Governor. He was governor, and
Yeah.
Trump pardoned him along with Kwame.
Yep.
And Tucker interviewed him for a really long time, and super interesting. And like when because it was an Obama thing. He went to jail for allegedly attempting to take a bribe for filling Obama's Senate seat. But
Yes.
he talks
Which
about
everybody
like,
does, by the way. Everybody.
right. He just talks about how Obama just like totally screwed him over. I mean, how he thought, he's like, that was my guy. Like, I thought he was going to pardon me for sure. He goes,
Yeah.
and then as soon as Trump got into office, I immediately got requests for my prison records, my like behavioral records and everything, because Trump wanted to make sure that he was like behaving and shit like that in jail. And he goes, and that was when I realized Obama was never going to help me, because he never requested those, but he just kind of like, let him along and
was willing to let him rot.
Yeah. And I mean, he presumably got, and I don't know the whole story. I mean, really fully, but it sounds like he got fucked over pretty hard. And Trump obviously pardoned him because he was on the Celebrity Apprentice. Like before he got sentenced, he was on Celebrity Apprentice, and that's how Trump met him.
That's right. He was on there.
Yeah, and he got sentenced like very shortly after they got done filming it. And so that was how he had like an in with Trump. And
I always wondered that, the Kwame one and the Rob Blagojevich one, because they're not neither of them are on the right Republicans. I mean, they're like out.
Right.
The nation knows who they are.
Right.
Democrats. Like they're not one of those kind of buried in the background, doesn't make waves. Like, no,
Kwame was like going to be the next Obama.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
what did they used to call him? The hip hop mayor. I think wasn't that his nickname?
A couple things. I would imagine that Trump probably sees some type of political prosecution type of thing. And I think he probably also sees it as like they can be more helpful to society on the outside than they can on the inside. And that's probably true. I mean, we're not going to get paid. City of Detroit's not going to get paid back on Kwame making license plates in jail.
No.
But we're not going to get paid back anyway, because the guy fundamentally doesn't admit that he did anything wrong, which is my issue with Kwame. Like, I would have so much more respect for Kwame if he would have been like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I fucked up. You guys caught me.
Yeah.
I fucked up. I did my time. He did a long time. I mean, it's like he killed anybody. So, I mean, like, I would have been fine with Trump pardoning him as long as a condition was you have to admit that you fucked up and that you did something.
Yeah. No, it bothers me the older I get, just knowing how many, how we're the most, we have a higher percentage of anywhere in the world. You can talk about China and communist China or Russia. We have more citizens in prison than anywhere. And, there's such a massive difference to me, but when you're talking about violent criminals versus, Rod Blagojevich, like, give me a break, that guy needs to be in prison for a decade. Like, really, it seems a bit much. And I wish Snowden would have been pardoned. I wish,
be interesting to see if he does anything like that this time around. I mean, what's the argument against it? Is it that you don't want to encourage that type of behavior? Is that
I think people were able to get to, because I thought for sure Trump was going to pardon Julian Assange.
Yeah.
And
I was hoping for that one.
That is just straight. That motherfucker was just doing reporting. Like he was literally doing journalism. He didn't steal anything.
No. And
you can make a case with Snowden about taking, whether you agree with it or not, he took stuff from the NSA. Like, even though he was whistleblowing and those protections should have mattered, he did take stuff. And so I guess there were high level people in the security industries and national security that were like, you cannot pardon Edward Snowden. I still thought Julian Assange, I mean, his guilt was outing the Democrat Party for the fucking bullshit they were pulling.
Yeah.
That was what
Yeah.
he was guilty of, actually
Yeah.
doing journalism.
Yeah.
Plus, how much
so
he helped
people,
Trump's campaign in that.
what's that?
Plus, how
Right.
much Assange helped
Well,
Trump's campaign. You think Trump would have wanted
neither
that?
here nor there to me. I don't care if it helped the campaign or not. Your point is well made. It's
Yeah.
not wrong.
It's just why
but-
Trump
but-
would have. Yeah.
Yes, but to me, it's like, no, we don't get to imprison journalists who make things difficult for you to fucking get away with shit. That's not what we do in this country.
Mhm.
And so Julian Assange seemed easy. So clearly, and that was the road that was being traveled. There were a lot of people that were in Trump's ear about Julian Assange. Apparently, that was what happened there, was that it was like, oh, for national security reasons. And who knows how that, I don't think he'll give a shit this time around. And
He's
I
not
wouldn't
going to
be
give a shit
surprised
this
at all.
time around.
No.
No, because
I'd love to-
he has nothing to worry about. Like, they would have maybe tried to use that against him in re-election or something. He doesn't have that to worry about this time.
Yeah.
And he's just going to be like, oh, the deep state doesn't want me to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it because fuck them.
And at the end of the day, these people are a threat to one group of people, okay? They are a threat to the powerful.
Yeah.
That's the threat that Julian Assange was. He was not a threat to you or me or average American citizens. He was a threat to powerful elites with power, powerful elites. That's what he was a threat to. Same thing with Ed Snowden. Ed Snowden was not a threat to us.
Mhm.
Edward Snowden was a threat to them. And so, you know, I'd love to see them pardoned, and I don't think many people would have a real problem with it. I'd love to eventually. I think that Julian Assange one, I guarantee you, was Seth Rich that was passing him shit, that was giving him shit, and Seth Rich, you know, not being able to see his laptop, the FBI not wanting to release. I guarantee you, I remember when we were talking about that story at the time. Made no sense to write that off as a fucking robbery, where his wallet wasn't stolen, his watch wasn't stolen, just murdered on the safe streets of DC at 2 a.m. None of that made sense. I guarantee you there's more to that story, Seth Rich's murder, and it's a disservice to him. And
So, I
you know-
mean, how do they prevent, unless they're just getting rid of everything right now, but how do they prevent a Matt Gaetz, when he rolls up as Attorney General, from looking at all this shit? Because Matt Gaetz asked these people about this in congressional hearings. So, like,
here's how you do
he's
it.
going to want to
You
fucking
get
know.
rid of Matt Gaetz. You smear Matt Gaetz into being, you know, some danger to America. And they're trying to do that every night on the nightly news.
Yep.
Well,
Plus,
I do
going
that in air
forward
quotes.
with the pardons too. I mean, also going forward with the pardons, Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, they're so well known now. It's almost like they can't do it again. What are they going to release this time? Because no government agency's letting him through the door.
Well, he's out now. Julian Assange is out now.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just.
Edward Snowden he's
still in Russia.
Russia, but no, I wouldn't be surprised. We'll see. But Julian Assange, I could see him going back to work, and you know, whether
does
it's
Snowden
Wiki,
want to be pardoned? I honestly, if you're Snowden, don't you just want to live in Russia? You probably have a fine enough life going on there. Like, you know, the second you come back to the United States, you're going to be killed.
probably.
Yeah.
You're not just going to
probably.
be pardoned and then you get to go live in like fucking Boca with your kids. I mean, like,
Well, no, but it could also be more of a being part in the U.S. means he can go to U.S. friendly states like the UK and stuff and not get extradited. So he can live out.
But the same thing applies there. Like, you're not going to go
Yeah.
live in London. I mean, you're going to get
Yeah.
killed wherever you go.
I would encourage.
Like,
was
Russia
it-
is his protection, I think.
Yeah, it could be. Was
know, they would've probably killed him out
Citizen
there.
4, was that the documentary that Glenn Greenwald and
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend going and watching that, you know, and because I remember at the time the narrative that they wanted to paint that guy as is some low-level dipshit just stealing secrets of the
Mhm.
government.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, go watch that documentary and learn who Ed Snowden was.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and the levels of bullshit that these people these swamp creatures bathe themselves in, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, it's awful. But, you know, the story about Pete Hegseth, and, you know, I wish we could believe all these stories. When someone makes a claim, you wish it was an honest broker. We've just seen too many of these, and this is the danger too, that if you have too many of these moments where people can't trust, where this is coming from, they all seem to have inopportune times of coming out right when someone's nominated and getting ready for a confirmation, or a week before an election.
Convenient, always the right wingers too.
The whole problem with an October surprise has always bothered me. Like, no, if you have some fucking criminality, some damaging shit, I don't want to wait till October for it. Like, it should matter 2 years earlier. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But it leads to stuff like Jussie Smollett. The defamation of Nicholas Sandmann.
How about all those racist texts that went out the day after Trump won?
Yeah.
Have they found those people yet that did that?
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
It was 100% some type of like Democrat group that was like, okay, let's send this out the day after Trump wins. It's going to be the most vile shit ever. No conservative was doing that. Every single conservative was fucking celebrating. The only person that was doing that is someone who was pissed off at the way shit turned out. And the fact that you haven't heard anything about it goes to show that that's probably what they discovered when they looked into it was, oh, this wasn't a bunch of racist white Republicans. This was a hoax, just like they always are. You don't have to invent racism. If racism exists,
sure,
let's talk about the actual. But like when you have to create these fake scenarios, it makes you wonder, like, is it just not happening enough for you?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Like, and I can't figure out what the purpose is, whether it's Jussie Smollett, that one, like to advance one guy's career, he's willing to like create further divide between races that don't exist. As a gay black man, isn't Jussie Smollett a gay guy? Gay black guy who's making it in Hollywood. Like, really, this is the country. Like,
on one of the biggest shows too.
What's that?
On like a very, very big popular show, so it's not like he's an unknown figure.
The Bubba Wallace noose. Here you are at the top of your industry. Like, there are people that would give anything to drive a car for a living in circles, and you're doing it at the NASCAR level, being paid millions of dollars, and you're going to help further the noose bullshit.
Yeah,
that was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Do you remember when he was walking with the car and everybody had to fucking drive behind him or whatever, like put him up on some pedestal like he's this massive victim?
And this is kind of like the NDAs. Like, the noose knot, whatever the fuck it's called, is a way to tie a knot.
Yeah.
FYI. So if we're not going to accept that way anymore, we need to like get a bulletin out to everybody, because otherwise, if that knot showed up in my garage, I wouldn't say anything about it because it's a fucking knot. But the second it appears in a minority garage, it's like, well, hang on a second. It's like, okay, so this isn't an accepted knot for him then.
Right. Like, and wasn't that just a like it had been there for years? It was just a garage pulley.
That you see in every garage that has a fucking pulley. I'm sorry, I'm swearing a lot, but it just
you're good. No, but they would be just fine memory holing all this shit, especially right now. Memory holing all of it. Like, what are you talking about? There's no effort to further a narrative by mainstream media. It's like, no, we watched it with Nicholas Sandmann. And that whole thing to paint those kids as,
that was crazy.
And it cost CNN and MSNBC, I believe they were fined God knows what amount for defamation. Washington Post, I think.
Yeah, I think he owns them.
Yeah. Though, remember the whipping the migrants at the border with the horse reins. Like, think about the stuff we've been put through. The Muslim shit. That with Muslims are being attacked all over the country. Remember that horse shit? Mm-hmm. There was a fire at a Houston mosque, and it's not a surprise to me. Probably isn't to you either. When it's like, the same groups get all worked up and they get all blown out of fucking whack, and like, oh, this is the racism we deal with, and it's like, Federal authorities investigated and collared a suspect. Sorry, he's not a Muslim-hating Trump supporter. He's a Muslim. Not only that, longtime member of the damaged Islamic Society of Greater Houston Mosque, where he prayed 5 times a day, 7 days a week. That's an older story. A similar incident reported at a mosque in Fresno, California. Similar rush to judgment. Media joined Muslim groups, accusing everyone of bigotry and vandalism of the Islamic Cultural Center. It turned out in that case, the incident was not an act of Islamophobia. As in Houston, the damage was self-inflicted by a member of the mosque. October 2014, 2 Muslim activists released videos showing NYPD cops harassing them, racially profiling. Oops, it was staged. Cops weren't even real. 3 burned Korans were found in front of a mosque in Dearborn, Michigan. The imam there led a campaign.
I dropped those.
What's that?
Sorry, I dropped those.
Yeah, right. It was revealed the Koran barbecuer was none other than a Muslim named Ali Hassan al-Azadi. After murdering his wife, a Muslim man in El Cajon, California, made it look like a Muslim bigot did it. He left a note with her body that read, "Go back to your country, you terrorist." Nice try, dickhead. And the problem isn't that people are going to make shit up. That's not the problem. I understand when someone kills their wife and goes, "I don't know, a black guy did it."
Yeah.
You know, it was some guy. Like, okay, I guess maybe that word worked in the 50s and ginned up a whole group of people in the
Right.
1890s going, yeah, it was probably a darkie that did it. Like,
Right.
okay, but that doesn't mean the whole media gets to jump on board like, yep, that's all the evidence we need. Let's run with that narrative when we see it time and time again. Some girl on the subway, oh, these guys attacked me screaming Trump's name and ripping my hijab off. Bullshit.
So false.
So false. So, Whoopi Goldberg famously calling out the bakery over the, last week.
I hope she gets sued.
The warden saying that whole text over your body, my choice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of liberal girls.
That was started by Nick Fuentes as a total troll because that's all that guy does.
Of course it was. Of course
it was Nick Fuentes.
Yes.
Here's the thing, too. So if you don't know what we're talking about, that is a popular meme going around, apparently accusing boys in schools of saying this to girls, your body, my choice. Now that Trump's elected is the implication, you don't have any rights. Yeah. And it works on people. In fact, it works on people I know.
Yeah.
And they get, look what's happening.
Yeah,
and it's like find out it's just one right-wing streamer who's just making a troll.
Even if it's not, which it is, fine.
Yeah.
If boys especially, I'll speak for the boys in this case. Guys do this kind of thing. It would not shock me at all in a middle school, a high school. Guys, this is how guys fuck around. Believe it or not,
100%.
It is. We fuck around like this. We say inappropriate shit to each other. We do that a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when you're younger, especially in middle. So my advice to people around the country that are seeing stuff like this, a post on Facebook, a meme on TikTok, and going, you're acting like, well, this is our new reality. We need to protect each other out there, ladies, because this is how it's like, no, you will be able to find in a society of 330 million people isolated incidents of shitty behavior.
Yep.
You just will. That's the world. So if you're going to fucking tie yourself to your body, my choice, and think like that's how society is, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
The Whoopi Goldberg bakery one, I'm super glad that they're not just taking it in the dick and they're holding a press conference and saying, no, bitch.
Yeah.
No one here didn't fill your order for this reason. What I can't figure out is for Whoopi Goldberg, you're talking about, you know how people bitch about punching down? Like here you are on a national stage, celebrity with gobs and gobs of money you couldn't possibly spend in a lifetime, punching down on a local bakery over a slight. No one said something to Whoopi like, take your liberal fucking order somewhere else, bitch. And I don't like that you're black. Like no one said something like that.
That is just the definition of privilege.
Privilege. Yes.
You have nothing going on in your life that when you had to be inconvenienced, the only excuse and justification was racism.
Yeah.
Because you are so rarely inconvenienced that it is so odd for you that can be the only justification.
Yeah. Well, I will say, because that's 100% true, there is something to it, because you're talking about the most incredibly blessed among us and privileged, wealthiest, most advantaged people. And there must be something to when you're in that position, people bending the knee to you at every ask, no matter how absurd that ask is. You know, we used to see it with our rock stars a lot. Motley Crue famously had a fucking drug dealer that followed their tour bus around the country and just gave them drugs. Like, could you do that? No, you couldn't just pay some guy to follow you around with all your drugs and follow you town to town to make sure you could get high wherever you were. Like that's an entitled, something that's exclusive to this group of elite people in society. I remember when Dugan's, the Irish restaurant, we used to do our St. Patrick's Day broadcast. Those got so out of hand, we had to stop doing them. But for a while there, the cooks were big fans of the morning show, and they would get there a few hours before the restaurant opened, and they'd fire up ovens, they would prep, but they were big fans of the Drew and Mike show. And one day, one of them called. It's probably 7 a.m. They don't even open till fucking 11 or something for lunch. And it was like, hey, we're here, listening to the show. You guys want any pizza? And it was like, hell yeah. And they bring us a bunch of pizzas, and it was awesome. We were going to the same fucking shitty diners all the time and getting chili dogs. It was like, oh man, this is great. And it was like, guys, anytime you want something, we're usually here at 6 a.m. Just call us. And I know the feeling of like calling those guys once a month and being like, we're going to need these dips and these chicken fingers and these blah, 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 these blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they would do it every month. They wouldn't even charge you. You'd end up tipping them $50 because they wouldn't charge you. And it was, after a while, you do that for a year. And then you call them one day and you go, hey man, just calling in, and it's expected. And you get that one time when it's like, guys, we have a fucking banquet thing going on this morning. We can't do it. Yeah. And I remember hanging on the phone going, these motherfuckers. How and it was like you almost need to step back and go, wait a minute. Yeah. You fucking entitled prick. They don't owe you shit. They have gone so above and beyond. I recommend all of you go to Dugan's. It's awesome there in Royal Oak. But
maybe it was because you were white.
Maybe. But can you imagine if that was my attitude? Like someone didn't just drop whatever they were doing to cater to my needs, no matter what their reality was. Mm-hmm. They didn't do what I demanded that day. And it must be because some bullshit reason.
Yeah.
Like that's how quickly you can poison someone's mind into thinking the way Whoopi Goldberg does. It couldn't possibly be that the boiler is on the fritz in a 134-year-old bakery in Staten Island that makes that sells these cupcakes that you wanted. No. So they didn't feel comfortable placing this order of 50 for 2 weeks from now, by the way, when they're like, I don't want to let you down. I don't know what to say. So day of, someone was able to go over there who not named Whoopi Goldberg and just pick them up.
Right.
That's what she's basing it on.
Right.
What they weren't comfortable with was going, and now the mechanic has come out and said, yeah, I had to go over there and work on the fucking boiler. What are you talking about?
Right.
Why would you smear this small town bakery in Staten Island and shit on the people here like that came into play? It's just, it's unbelievable. And I don't want anyone.
If Whoopi were honest with herself, she would admit that she knows the universal hatred for her and her opinions, and that everyone on the planet thinks she's a dumbass and hates her and her position. And so if she were honest, she would say, I am so hypersensitive to that because I get nothing but hate on Twitter. And because of my ridiculous takes, that when something like this happens, I just assume it's because they hate me, because everybody hates me because I say really dumb stuff and I'm kind of an awful person.
You mean like when she went on national TV and recommended Dr. Jill Biden be our Surgeon General? You mean like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, honestly, this whole story, has been great because it's like Whoopi Goldberg looks like an asshole, and this bakery's getting a lot of press right now.
Yeah.
I'd see it as a win-win.
We are in a different world where people can take to TikTok and they can take to Twitter and film a mile-long line of people chanting USA, USA. It really is like you are done taking advantage of the citizens of this country. We're not taking it. It's what the NFL said this weekend.
After 9/11 a little bit.
It does. It does.
And I don't say that lightly because
I don't either.
I think with 9/11 it was like a universal type of thing. Like
California,
all people were united, whereas now it's just like people are feeling free to voice. So it just seems like people are more united because more people are doing it. I mean, I don't think that, but it just seems like the patriotism and like is at its peak, like 9/11.
Well, there was the only way you could get seemingly an overnight switch where everybody hated their country was to manufacture it. To have an exclusivity on the message. I just don't believe. I've known NFL players. I know how they think. I know that just by the nature of who those fucking animals
and
are.
And the money they make.
Yeah, that they haven't completely changed as human beings in a 2-year span, that they all are now, taking a knee and fucking and saying stuff like stop this and that, like, and nobody else is pushing back. Nobody feels comfortable. It was like the balloon popped and universities all over the country and NFL fields all over the country went, oh my God, thank God this bullshit's over.
Yeah.
And they let it out. And that bakery in Staten Island let it out.
Yep.
Look at the videos of the lines wrapping around the building of people like, nah, we're here to support our local business.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
It's impressive to see. It does feel almost 9/11. Like, I hope they can keep it up. I hope they don't disappoint us. I mean, that's the hope.
I'm at a point too. Well, I'm at a point too where if Trump just does like 10 to 15% of what he's saying, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Mm.
Keith Olbermann is having a full-blown meltdown on Twitter because
I'm here for it
as usual.
Because the MSNBC Morning Joe hosts went to Mar-a-Lago and met with Trump.
Yeah.
And Keith Olbermann is like, I mean, he is fucking melting down completely over this. Like, they are Russian propaganda. Now, MSNBC is now propaganda, which they are, but they weren't before that. And it's like, dude.
Yeah.
They are a news network covering the president-elect.
Yeah.
What are you even saying, Keith Olbermann?
Yeah. He's clearly mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Like, we all have the same story when it comes to Keith Olbermann. Oh my God, I used to watch him and Dan Patrick on SportsCenter. It was fucking amazing when I was in high school. Like, we all have that story, and so off the deep end. I don't even have much to compare it to. It's like, it's like, okay, there's something mentally off there. I don't know exactly what it is, but he's chosen to see the world that way. I don't know if he believes it or if it's just playing a role. It's got to be really weird to post something on Twitter, get 99% of what comes back to you is like, you're a fucking asshole. Like, ratio, like it's not
ratio to death every time.
Death. It'd be one thing if you saw and it was, 40-60, people like, yeah, you get them. No, it's 1 out of 100 is supportive. It's so like, that's gotta be so taxing mentally. Like, I would have to delete that. If I posted my view on something and almost 100% of the people that responded were like, just hated me. Like, Keith Olbermann doesn't get into his line of work to be hated. He just doesn't. So it tells you there's something off there. There's something mentally not right there. Yeah. The Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough going to the White House. And I love all these guys wanting to, hey, it's important we have the discussion. And you've got to understand. And for the sake, it's like, to me, it's not even like you personally, Mika Brzezinski, you personally, Joe Scarborough, you created the hatred that has fueled all this.
Yeah.
You people and people like you created this to where my friends, my loved ones think Donald Trump is a racist, Hitler-esque person in history who's out just raping and groping women. Like, they created that narrative, Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough and the people like them, to where half the country has felt this way.
Yeah.
And so to spare me if I'm not like, well, let's hear them out. Like, you weren't willing to hear anybody out.
Yeah.
Anybody. And anybody that had concerns and tried to be an honest debater with you and tell you what their concerns were, you branded them a racist or a misogynist or a fucking xenophobe or a homophobe. That was your go-to. So excuse me, fuck off. That's what I would say to Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough. Fuck right off.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Your ratings, the ratings that are coming out are showing you get 30,000 viewers. It's catastrophic.
Yes.
What's going on with them?
Yeah.
Catastrophic. And they're going to end up selling that network. I don't want to hear from Joy Reid. I don't want to hear from Whoopi Goldberg. You people personally have been the most divisive people in this nation. You have ginned up and gaslit good, hardworking Americans into believing a narrative that doesn't exist, and fuck off to all of you. That's what I would say.
Yep.
Me too.
All right, let's do a couple of emails and get out of here.
All right.
Doug writes, best money spent. Oh, he's listening to the Patreon show. Thank you, Doug.
Good.
I appreciate that. Hall & Oates becomes a member. Thank you, Hall & Oates. I'm sure she's hot. It looks like a chick in the picture. But welcome. Mike and Mo, they didn't know you were going to be here, Ames. So Mike and Mo.
And the Ho. Can
I'm
we
going to be
call our new show Mike Mo and the Ho?
Yeah, Mike Mo and the Ho. That's fine. I could do
There you
that.
go.
I call Mike.
Or Mike Ho and the Mo, because then we got the homo in there.
Oh,
Double play.
yeah, that's not bad. Your
Mike and the
wordplay is on
homo.
point.
I
Your
like
wordplay
that.
is getting good.
Or Ho, comma, Mo and Mike. Homo and Mike.
Homo and Mike. Yeah. I don't care. I like
There you
all
go,
of
Homo
them.
and Mike.
We got some.
Mike.
We can play with that.
Ho, Mo, and Mike. All right.
Yeah.
Gotta say, in your abortion avoidance discussion with 3G, I don't know if I've been so disappointed in the show missing the obvious way to avoid coat hangering a fetus. Being a colon cowboy reduces the chance of unexpected pregnancy to just about zero.
Cowboy.
Yeah. He's talking about the
That's a
Garrett's
new
of the
one.
world.
I like that.
Thank you.
You can women have. You know what my mom has always said. I don't know why you're gay. Women have assholes too.
That is
She's
true.
got a good point.
That is
And
true.
She's got a good point.
It's a little bit of a harder sell to women.
God, she's so hot sometimes. It's funny you say that. Say hi to her for me.
I will.
For many of us, this isn't a viable option unless I'm in some serious prison time, and even then, I'd call all-time pitcher. Not sure if that rule applies in prison the way it did in wiffle ball. I think it doesn't because I would call the same. Also, with my window for being imprisoned for a thought crime against the state being down to about 2 months, I'm doubtful that I'll ever do prison time, and I'm not into dudes on the outside. Garrett is so lucky that he doesn't have to be concerned with creating a mini-me. Fags have all the luck. Tapas to Peens, Nut, and Fred. Luke.
Aww.
Thanks, Luke.
Thoughts
Yeah,
and
Peanut
prayers.
and Fred. That sucked. Okay, I did hear from NFL Bob. Dear Sir and Fag, you asked, so here you go. So I'd asked, what do I do with Bitcoin? I've got a small amount. I think I spent $500 on Bitcoin, and I believe I got it at 40,000. And it's now, I don't know where to. I mean,
It's like up over 80.
Yeah, it's still jack shit. Ooh, I've got 1,000. Like, it doesn't mean anything. But I was like, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to sell it now and then buy it if it goes low? Like, so I asked for his input. He's the big Bitcoin guy. 1, never sell your Bitcoin. 2, always adhere to number 1. 3, buy some Bitcoin every week. And then he gives me a link to buy some. 4, if you desire to, take self-custody of the Bitcoin, not your keys, not your coins. Learn about your money. Always adhere to number 1 is his last recommendation.
All
Your
right.
humble and obedient servant, NFL Bob. P.S. If you want, we could do a short members only on Bitcoin. If it sucks, don't post it. I told
So
him
what's
that's a
the
good idea.
point?
Yeah.
What's
I
the
don't-
point? I mean,
I
with
don't
stocks,
know.
ultimately, you're supposed to sell them, right?
I think.
Bitcoin
Yeah, I
is
don't
something you
know.
can spend on like a stock, so it's good to hold on to it in case the actual US dollar crashes. Bitcoin holds firm, so you have like another avenue of ways to buy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that. And I get why the
It's like a liquid
underworld-
asset. That's
I
what
understand why the underworld wants to use it. You
Yeah.
know, the black market. If you're into some shady
I mean,
shit.
they're less on Bitcoin nowadays just because it's a little more, it's popular, so that it's
Yeah.
getting looked at.
But that's a
But
good
don't
way
you
to.
think people see it more of like a stock? Like, I'm
Yes.
buying this thing. I want it to go up. When it goes up in X amount, I'm going to sell it just like I would other stocks.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like most people are not buying it because they're like, I need to have this alternative currency in case the dollar crashes and I want to use it to buy goods.
Maybe over here in the US, but I think overseas in European countries especially, it's huge for that reason, for alternative currencies.
I got worried when, if we're not the world's reserve currency, right? The petrodollar or whatever, if that goes bye-bye and all of a sudden we potentially become the third world, that's when it was like, well, fuck, man, if that
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. And,
Well, that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, not now.
America.
I love it. But that had me like going down rabbit holes like, oh shit, if we're broke now, maybe it's good to have Bitcoin. Like, I need something if my money's not worth nothing no more.
But
So
then
that-
also at the same time, Mike, like, okay, so you have $1,000 in Bitcoin. So
Yeah,
what are you gonna do when the currency crashes and you have $1,000 in Bitcoin? Like, you're gonna be able to go out to eat a few times?
I'm going to take that $1,000, buy a plane ticket, and go hang out with NFL Bob, who I think has been buying Bitcoin since it was 0.001 cents.
Yeah,
And he's probably worth $10 billion now. That's my plan. Hey, Bob,
my plan's a little bit different.
For dinner tonight, Bob. I'm moving in.
Yeah.
That was
I got a lot of bullets. Not all of them are for shooting. Some are for trading.
Yeah. There you
go. Yeah.
We all
But
plan differently.
my plan was to just go hang. Bob's awesome, anyways. So I figured I'd go hang out with Bob.
Yeah.
And as long as he's got the lockdown on Bitcoin, we're good.
Yeah.
You know, his kid's a fucking Adonis and fun. His wife's cool. Bob's cool. So I was like, yeah, I could hang out with his family. We could do good things. We could have fun.
Does he know this?
No, not yet, but that's okay.
Well, he does now, at least.
He's going to know when I show up on his door, just like, hey.
If we ever have an apocalypse, I'm going to Travis's.
Travis is a good one. I've got the Crack Brothers.
Oh, yeah, they're good too. Travis, I just feel like could MacGyver us out of anything. And
Travis could fly us out of trouble.
Yeah. Don't call this the bunker for nothing.
Oh,
yeah, your fucking basement isn't going to work, dude. You're going to need to be around real men. You're going to need to be around Travis. You're
I'm
right.
around some men.
You're around some. I know you are.
I'm around plenty of men.
True. But I just painting your walls does not make that a bunker. You need to have somewhere safe. I suggest being around the Crack Brothers is a good start. Take a Marine and a fucking cop with you who are built like brick shit houses and get around them. And then the three of me and the Crack Brothers and their family and me are going to head over to Bob's because he's going to have the Bitcoin.
Travis will fly us all there.
I'm gonna wait for Trav and Amy to get there, and hopefully you stumble into our orbit too, Garrett. I mean,
I got a plan. We're good.
Yeah, they don't call me the cult leader for nothing, right?
You'll be friendly.
Exactly.
Take
advantage.
Exactly.
Take
We are all
advantage
gonna. Yeah, we're all gonna surround. Make our own commune.
Like, dude, we would make a good commune. We would laugh. We would have fun.
Yeah, that'd be an awesome commune.
Can you imagine?
We need to figure out a general meeting place.
Yeah. Michigan's not a bad spot. Everything you need is there. Like out here where I am right now.
You think you can make it up here?
Like, yeah. Oh yeah. I could get there somehow. If me and Cece got to walk, I will. But
it's going to be a lot easier for you to come here than for all of us to have to figure out a way.
Yeah.
To get
Fuck
down
that.
So
plus, what am I going to do? Just milk cactuses for sustenance? Like that's not going to work.
We already got a key to the city in the north.
Yeah, we do have that.
We could just
that's
open
true.
that right up.
We could go to Keweenaw. But I think Michigan's a good spot. You've got everything you need there. You know, because you're going to need.
Not too hot. You've got, you know, natural water. It's important.
Yeah. And I'm bringing a Marine and a cop to the table and money with Bitcoin.
I'm bringing Travis.
Yeah. And hot chicks. So
yeah, exactly.
Dude.
I got a couple of psycho friends who own military grade weapons.
There you go.
Okay, you can bring military grade weapons. Yeah,
I got a homie with a Dodge Viper. He uses to tow his 30mm howitzer around his property. We'll have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, we could use him. I'm just not sharing a bunk with you. That's all.
That's fine.
No offense, but yeah, I'll share one with Ames, but I'll share one with the hoe, not the mo.
All right.
And on that note, all right, guys, thank you so much for being here, Amy. I know you got a busy week, so maybe next week when we can do this again. It's always fun. We've gone long here.
Sounds good.
Garrett, thanks you as well.
No
yeah,
problem.
of course. It's a lot of fun. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the day. We will be